everybody. Welcome to the kitchen table. I'm Kenny D. I'm trying something new today. I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to give it a shot. The remote, the split screen with my buddy, retired FDNY captain, Brian Lena from Division 8, retired as a captain. Did 20 years, right? May of 03 to May of 2023.
International Firefighters Day, 20 years to the day.
Oh, nice. He was lieutenant in 90 engine for about 6 or 7 years. A fireman in 30 truck. That's how I met him in the Harlem Zoo. He did a little bit of time in 97 engine, you said?
Yep.
Okay. You're also on the incident management team, the IMT, right?
Yeah. I don't know how they trusted me with that, but yeah.
I want to ask you about that. That's pretty cool. So now that we're both retired, we decided to become content creators on social media. He is now the content creator of the YouTube page, Searching for Tone. If you are a guitar enthusiast, it's awesome. Check it out. He does a lot of unboxing of all these guitars he plays. It's a beginner's channel, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
I used to play back before I got on, and then totally stopped playing. So I figured might as well capture it as a guy starting off again.
Yeah. Oh, from the beginning. How long was it before, like, you put the guitar down, and then how long was it before you picked it up again to play?
So, I mean, I had like on and off spurts of playing, but it was probably, I would say, close to 20, 25 years.
Really?
Yeah. So just enough time to forget everything. So like sometimes when you're watching, if like I'm playing a song, it's not because I know it. It's like it's coming back.
Yeah.
The whole muscle memory type thing.
Yeah. How long did you play before you put it down? When did you stop playing?
Only about I would say like maybe 4 or 5 years. It was high school up until about I got on the job, and then after that it was.
Did you like playing in like the band in high school? Did you have a band, or you just kind of?
I was a band nerd. I played the saxophone.
Oh,
yeah.
You didn't want to get into a channel called Saxophone for Two?
Smooth jazz.
Cop sax.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't good at that either. But
did you have a band, or you didn't play in school?
No, just music lessons, a little bit here and there, but then mainly self-taught.
Okay. Did you? Because I played a little acoustic guitar, but not very good at all. A bunch of years ago, I saw a video. Like, I wanted to learn how to play. I thought I was going to be cool. I could play and get all the chicks and sing and stuff. Mm-hmm. And my brother-in-law was like, "Oh, there's this video out before social media. It was called Esteban. Do you remember Esteban?"
Yep.
Right. He looked like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he was teaching
acoustic guitar. It would be like on late night, like if you were up at like 2:00 in the morning in the house watch, you'd see him on the infomercial.
Yeah, he'd sell you like a $25 guitar with his CD and play these elaborate tunes where I was like, I can't fucking do this.
Yeah.
So I tried playing for like a week or two, and I was like, this is no good. Mm-hmm. And then Muyai, Yuli, he sold me his guitar. He didn't want to play his anymore, so I started practicing on my own again. But it's, as you know, just like all this stuff, it's so time consuming that I just didn't have time to do it. And I sucked. But what made you want to do the guitar for Searching for Tone?
I figured I wanted to start learning again and having the free time and not really knowing what to do. I did try, it sounds kind of stupid to go out there and look for a second job, but after you retire. But I was just looking for something to do, to interact with people and just I went to Home Depot and I worked there for 8 hours and then found out that they weren't accustomed to the fire life schedule.
You couldn't switch tours with anybody?
Well, I used to, I don't care. So when I was a boss, even when I was a fireman too, I would work all the holidays, the weekends. I didn't care. To me, I'd rather be off on a Tuesday, especially, go down to the beach on a Tuesday instead of a Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
But they only had 4, 6, or 8 hour shifts. I'm like, I wanted to work 2 days a week and I'll work 16 hours straight.
Yeah. So. You always hear these retired guys that are like, I got a job, but they weren't used to my schedule. I was trying to work 2 tours in a row, and then
right.
And they were like, you can't do that.
Yeah, we're regulations. We don't let you work more than 8 hours.
I work for I work part time for the school. I do school security now. I needed something to do. I needed a purpose, So I got the school security job, and I work 10:45 to 3. So it's great hours, but it's every single day. I got the summer off, but I don't get paid when I don't work. So I've been trying to get a lot of this stuff done because I have time. But once school starts, it's harder to, as you know, it's hard to edit videos. It takes so long to edit and film and do all this stuff and get it right. So how are you doing with all that, man? Learning all that shit.
That to me, like, and that's the thing is, like, I haven't even begun to learn playing guitar at all because it's so much. Like, you don't know how much stuff it actually takes
Yeah.
to. Well, I mean, you do, but the rest of the world, you shoot like 30 minutes, an hour. It takes anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to edit that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then it takes like another hour to come up with some sort of description, and then another hour for thumbnails,
Yeah.
and then it's like 2 or 3 hours for you to like actually moderate probably total of all
Yeah.
the comments. If you get any, good comments, always try to respond as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And then even to the trolls, I don't delete comments ever, so you could say whatever you want, unless I'm doing some sort of review where like I've only had I think 3 items actually given to me, and
Oh,
if you're
really?
gonna yeah, if you're gonna like, everything else I pay for. That's another thing too. They don't understand.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you how that all works. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like in the whole like I don't even want to say how much, but
So you're basically buying this gear, buying these pedals, the guitars to do your unboxing. Which the editing is really cool, dude. You're getting on top of that. That looks great.
yeah.
Watching your videos, like you've edited them really well. But you're paying out of pocket to get these. Like have you tried to reach out to these companies to kind of give
So
you?
that's the biggest thing. Like as far as nowadays, uh, YouTube is being so good at like showing information to people that they don't feel like they need to like subscribe to a channel because like YouTube like shows me exactly what I want. I open up my home screen and there's so many things out there. I just click
Yeah,
on it and watch it. But a lot of these companies, they strictly based on like they don't care if you get like 1,000 or 2,000 or 100,000 views.
yeah.
They want to see how many subscribers you have.
Wow.
So like I've actually reviewed something that's gotten way more views than somebody that has a huge amount of subscribers,
Yeah,
but I paid for it. They got it for free, which understandably they've been in the game a little bit longer
yeah.
and they built that following. It's fine, but some companies have been willing to take a chance
Hmm.
and review it, and actually they've been very successful for both me and them.
Oh, good. That's good.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's tough though. Like you're on a niche that is there's a lot of I mean there's a lot. Listen, there's a lot of fireman channels out there that I'm finding crazy, but there's a lot of guitar channels out there too. There's a lot of guys. Who was I watching for a while? Marty Music. You know who
yep,
Marty Music? He's pretty cool. But he's all teaching guitar. You're like
yeah.
unboxing everything, showing products and gear and stuff like that. And I was just wondering how, if you had affiliates or you linked up with any other guitar channels that you're kind
So
of.
that's the thing is like the low level ones, and I say low level ones. Like some of them even have like 10,000 views. Like
Yeah,
we talk back and forth, whether it's in their live streams or just like through comments,
yeah.
and that's a great community. It seems like the higher up ones almost kind of like shun you. It's almost kind of like being the pro, being the firehouse. Like you got to find your core group of guys that
Yeah, yeah,
that understand where you came from, that haven't been, don't have like 20, 25 years and like, hey, get back in the sink, like
yeah,
like hey, let me help you out type of
yeah.
thing.
You got to.
And that's
It's
really cool.
it's almost like they just have so many subscribers and get so many comments. They probably can't. They don't even have time to answer some of these things, like, and look at them. They're too busy putting out a freaking video a day, and to answer comments all day long has got to be way too time consuming. I mean, I don't get
Yeah.
many comments yet, but I try to answer the ones that I do get.
Yeah, I mean, I was floored about that one that not even in the guitar community, the one that you seen on my Facebook that was in the like the smart home niche type thing, where he
Oh,
talks about Amazon Alexa and all that stuff like that. He has
yeah,
like 200,000 subscribers, and I just reached out to him one day, like just like saying like, "Hey, thanks. I think your channel is great,"
yeah,
and we got into like commenting back and forth, and I'm like, I can't believe that this guy is
right,
actually talking to me right now with
yeah,
200,000 subscribers. And you look at like his video will be like up for like 20 minutes and he'll have like 138 comments in a YouTube like chat. Like it's insane.
Yeah, like I don't know how he keeps up with something like that. Yeah, but he
Yeah.
caught you commented and he caught your comment, so that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, nice. All right, you said you mentioned being a pro, being a firehouse. How did you get into fire service, bro?
So not the best looking way sometimes, depending on which side of the camp you're on. But I was a volley, in Mayapack
Hey
for
man, we need volleys too, brother. We need volleys too. I know we as firemen we break their balls and it's a great community, but who the fuck is going to put your fire out, your house out if you live upstate? So
yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
put those two badly.
taxes already in Putnam County are about $20,000 a year. So you want to have it's pretty insane.
You
Yeah.
get a
So
break in taxes for being a volley?
so I went through probably I think a divorce at the time where they passed the bill in New York. Where so now I got you know out and I was renting an apartment, so I got absolutely no benefit from that tax break whatsoever. That's quite all right. I mean, you don't do it for that anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just a family thing. My aunt uncles were firefighters. My aunts were like in like the ladies auxiliary thing. So
Mhm.
and even my cousin actually was a New York City fireman too.
Oh, really? Where
Yeah,
do you work?
he was he actually I so it's so ironic. He actually started off in '97 engine.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that I don't know like if they like there was 348 of us in our probie class. I doubt that they looked at every single family member and be like, oh, you know what, we're gonna send him where he went.
Yeah.
And just so happened to, and then he wound up trying to get out of there. He went to 45 engine
Okay.
uh, off of East Tremont, actually where Mac and EJ were from.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
truck in '58, but
Mm-hmm.
and then he became a fire marshal, and he retired 2013. So
Okay. All right. Cool.
yeah, he
So
got
you got on the volleys as a teenager?
yeah right. I think it was like 17 or 18,
Right.
right? Still in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually and it's only because of that I even really got. I mean, I knew um, my cousin was a fireman in the city, but I didn't know anything else about it. And
Yeah.
even so like I joined probably I think uh, April in '98, and then all of a sudden the filing for the '99 test came out,
That's right.
and I had somebody that was also New York City fireman throw that application right from in front of me and said take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from then on, I just started taking every civil service test. But if I didn't do that, I don't know. Unfortunately, you think about it too, timing wise, really got on the job because of 9/11. Because I
Right.
didn't do well. I was to say I didn't do well. I got a 94 on the written and 100 on the physical. My list number was 4,287. And before 9/11,
Yeah.
everybody came up to me to ask you, so what's your list number? And I'm like, told them, they're like, better luck next time, guy.
It's brutal, man. My list number was low 3000s, like 3100 or something like that, or 3200. I got on. You got on. You got hired May of 2003, right?
Yep.
And I got. So you got on before me. I got on September of '03.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I thought you were before me.
No, May 2000. Yeah, my list number was 3000 because I remember running into. Remember Danny Keene? Did you know Danny Keene? No.
Yeah.
I think he's a chief now. I don't even know if he's on the job, but he was a park policeman with me. And
Oh
after
yeah.
I got stationed down by Federal Hall down by after 9/11, and I saw him walk into his firehouse one day. I just happened to see him, and this was after after 9/11, and I was like, oh, I'm on the list. Da, da, da. And I told him my list number, and he was like, you got a shot? Yeah, yeah, I think you'll be all right. But I was 3000, so I wonder. I think I got there was some issues with my background or my medical or something like that. I think my freaking what's his name? My investigator was a jerk off.
Oh,
So
some of them are like, you can have either the nicest one in the world or, you know, one of my buddies, he took the test when he was 17, and you had to be 17 and a half, and he was
Yeah,
like 17 and shy like 2 months maybe, and let them get all the way to where he goes to 9 Metro Tech with all of his paperwork.
yeah.
And they had, it's not like they did the math right in their head. They're like, oh, you were born in this state, thank you very much and have a nice day.
You know that happened to Ryan Johnston.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember seeing that
yeah. He was saying about that.
yeah.
You would think that they'd get through the whole thing and be like, you know what? All right, it's 2 months, whatever. We won't hire you until you're 21
You
anyway.
don't say anything, we won't say anything, and then 20 years you do a podcast and then you say it. Like, and it was after the hiring freeze too, no less. It's like you were minus like 5,000 people, and you're going to scrutinize a guy
I know,
that
right?
was 2 months shy from taking the test, and now he's like 32 or whatever. It's like
Crazy, man. Yeah, it was a great. It was being because of the shit that I did beforehand. Like being an air marshal, my background was like impeccable. Military, law enforcement, and then doing the air marshal thing. Like my background was fucking spotless. So the
right. You
background check,
how many background investigations like that should have been like a rubber stamp.
right? Like so the background should have been a rubber stamp, but it was like stuff was coming back. I'm like, you guys got to be kidding me. I had a top secret clearance with the government, and this is the problem. So
Well,
my
I'm
the
going on a plane.
yeah, like it was crazy. But all right, so you get on, you take the FDNY test, you get on in May of 2003, and you go to 97 engine. How is 97 engine?
So I loved it. I thought it was a good experience. I didn't like some guys liked single engines. I wasn't really the single engine. Every time I got detailed out to like a double house, I loved it.
Yeah,
And I also kind of saw the writing on the wall. I didn't want to be a senior man, like the complete opposite of like what most people like think like someday they want to be like.
yeah,
And I could see that it was starting to creep up. Like it wasn't like gonna happen overnight, but I think by the time I would have had 10 years on, I would have been like the second most senior guy in the house.
really. Oh wow,
Yeah. So I was like,
10 years on. Wow, that's is it a big
that's
that house is a big turnover? Like
so. I mean, it's a funny thing. That's hopefully it's not too long of a story, but they actually had somewhat back in the day a big stigma. You could just do this in two parts if you want, but
I mean, it's what
uh,
it doesn't matter to me.
uh, so the senior man there back in I don't know the early '90s was the union treasurer, and at that time the union had money stolen from it from the accounting firm, like a crazy amount of money,
Really?
and it became like a finger pointing thing. I think at him, and he had nothing to do with it whatsoever. But it became like the whole union brawl type thing, and he punching out the president.
Yeah. Oh, leave it to us firemen, man.
Flash forward a couple of years later, the union president is the commissioner of the fire department, Tom Von Essen.
Really? Oh, wow.
So you can bet that anybody that got assigned there, you know, I don't know if this is going to get us flagged or we're going to start getting like look back into our fire department careers, but yeah. So they started loading up the house with unsavory characters.
Okay. Okay.
So it got a really bad stigma, and it took them that long to get out of
Yeah.
that stigma, and it did. It's better now,
Yeah.
but there could have been a lot of good people that stayed in that place that wound up, trying to get out.
So a lot of guys transferred out of there is basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like a 1 or 2 year thing and get out,
Oh,
or you want up staying.
yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So then you get over to Dirty Truck.
Yeah.
What made you want to go to Dirty Truck?
So I I always loved that area, and I got detailed there a couple of times before, and just remember sitting outside. That was the greatest thing. Like there wasn't too many firehouses I kind of seen that did that. Rolled up the front door and talked with the community.
Yeah.
Sat there and BS'd all night, and I just loved the area. It had such a wide mix of buildings. It was definitely up and like you like the old timer will probably be like, yeah, it wasn't, but it was still kind of run down too. There was still vacants. It was still kind of grungy and dirty, and
Sure.
you know, had the old city type feel to it, which
Mhm.
was very appealing.
When I got there, every brownstone except for one was finished, or two were finished, and the rest of them was still vacant. Still, you could
Yeah,
still see through the
through the
roof.
sky, see
Yeah,
through the roof. Yep.
yeah. When I got there, so yeah.
Yeah, and it was just a good learning experience, and the battalion I knew was great. It just has such a reputation
Yeah.
that precedes itself that anybody you talk to, you know. And I knew Drew
Mm-hmm.
Ganache was there.
Mesh.
He was in 36 engine. They closed 36 engine, and then he went over there. So yeah, and I knew at that time that they were looking to get people, but then the engine had just like had like a kind of a moratorium on that. Hey, you can't keep on taking all the guys across the floor. You need
Yeah.
to build up the engine.
Yeah.
So put my paper in, and then met a couple of times, met Nick a couple of times. Like I could deal with this, and then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then
You see, you did it the right way. You went to the house a couple times. You showed your face. I had about 3 seconds before I realized I got transferred when I went there. I mean, you know the story, so it's fucking. I just showed up. That
well,
didn't.
so I was totally up for waiting, waiting my turn, and uh, one of the guys in the engine had his paper across the floor, and mine went through first before his,
Yeah,
and that was a little contentious, but
yeah.
rightfully so. I mean, I totally said before that the orders were coming out, like I'll tap out, like so that the order wouldn't go through, so that he
Yeah.
can get the spot first, and you know. At that time, they're like, "No, don't worry about it. Like, we'll get him across the floor because it was so hard to actually get me out of 97 engine."
Really?
And yeah, I owe pretty much like my rest of my career to EJ
Yeah.
for getting me out of there because he pulled in like the favor of all favors for somebody that he doesn't even know. And
Hmm.
that's what, like, I love the man to death.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like looking through my folder one day and seeing this letter from Tobin, Chief Tobin,
Hmm.
at that time was in Division 6, writing a personal letter to personnel saying, "Hey, can you transfer this kid as a personal favor to me?" And I don't know how this stuff really flies now, saying this out in the open with the whole nepotism thing and all that stuff on the job, but like
20,
I, I
20 something years ago, bro.
there's anonymity, I guess, or statute of limitations. But if it wasn't for that, um, they weren't going to allow me out of 97 until somebody transferred in to 97 engine.
You weren't getting any transfers in.
No, yeah,
You didn't want to transfer, and they got lifted to go there.
pretty much, yeah.
Wow. So you got lucky. You got out of there. With
Yeah, and I mean, not to say anything about it now. It's a great place. When I got promoted, I running with them all the time.
yeah.
Before I even got the spot in 90, if 97 would have opened up, like from working there, I would have taken the spot. They did a good job of definitely
Yeah.
turning it around.
That's good. That's good. So how was your first year or so in 30 truck in the Holland Zoo, man? One of the toughest places on the job to work, for new
Oh
guys,
yeah.
especially
So
trans. That's another thing we have in common. We transferred into that place.
so one thing that makes me love that house so much is the fact, and it's a testament from just even my father. My first like tour was absolutely insane because not getting there on the bestest of terms. I come home, I'm exhausted. It's after a night tour. I'm in between two night tours, and I didn't even go to my aunt and uncle's 60th anniversary because I was that shot, and I didn't even want to ask for a mutual being a new guy in the house. But I was covered with like every single thing that you could possibly imagine, from shaving cream to uh, flour. There
Uh,
was even glass in my hair,
oh
and I'm
man.
passed out on my couch. And my dad is like, "What the hell did you do?" And then flash forward about like I would say like 8 or 9 years later, my dad's going through cancer, and he's unfortunately gonna pass through it. And guys are picking up tours left and right, and I'm not even worried about
Yeah.
showing up, repaying anything whatsoever. Guys are calling and saying, "Can we send food or anything like that?" And it just shows you that like you just got to stick it out a little bit, and then you're going to be in the greatest house in the world.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
it's so much of a pride factor when you tell somebody that you came from 5930 and they know exactly where it was.
Hmm.
Or
Ooh. Okay. Oh, all right.
I think the next thing they think is you're going to punch them in the face. Or
Yeah, yeah.
that must be tough.
No, that was like, I had a rough year and a half, close to 2 years, but a lot of that was probably after probably like the first year was probably all my own insecurities, dealing
Right.
with thinking, all right, these guys hate me, blah 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 blah. I still got to do the right thing, and I was just the kind of guy I am anyway, trying to do the right thing. But when something like that happens, a family member is sick or something's going on, there is no shortage of guys. Everybody steps up and is like, I can work, I can do this, I'm here, I can do that. Don't worry, you're off. That was one great thing, and it's probably every you would like to think it's every house on the job that's like that. I don't know if it is or not, but our house guys were always stepping up for stuff like that when we
Mhm.
were there for sure. So going through those tough times in the beginning where you're proving yourself, and then when you do, and the guys step up for you, stuff like that, it's a great feeling that you know that those guys have your back like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And it makes you that much, I think, a better fireman because you see it now when you bounce around as an officer and you see
yeah.
how they aren't like that, and you see like a guy with like 2 or 3 years that doesn't have the same passion or knowledge. And not saying that every house is like that, but we all know that there is going to be a house out there. But I remember like seeing a guy with like probably even a pro. I think he was a probie in one house. He's got his uniform shirt off, and he's sitting there at the kitchen table while some senior guy is like stirring eggs at the kitchen table. And
So
I'm like,
that you're like, what is
I
going
want
on
to do
here?
something right now, but I'm just here for the night, so I'm not going to say anything right now because I'm not even going to think about even wanting to be in this house.
Right, right.
Even like we even think as putting in for that spot.
No, we taught our guys, or just showed them the right way, just to be. Your first year is the most important. Like that's how you're making your bones, and you're supposed to act accordingly. You have to have your uniform on. As much as it sucks, you can't go to bed early. That all that stuff, and to go to another place, especially as an officer, and see that from where we came from, you're like, is somebody not going to say anything to this guy? This guy's got 6 months on the job, and he's got his feet kicked up on the freaking table with his shirt untucked or whatever. As menial as that sounds, probably to a lot of people, I go, big deal, his shirt's untucked. But as a probie, you're expected to be squared away. Period. The end. No.
Yeah.
Yes. And to
Yeah, yeah, you wouldn't expect that from like even like the like a shit shop or anything like that. You would expect that from like no matter what anywhere. And I was like floored. I'm like, are they like screwing her with me right now? Like, is this kid like not even like assigned here?
crazy, man. I don't get that. But whatever. I mean, there's what 10,000, 11,000 New York City firemen with
Hmm.
officers, and you're not everybody's going to be that into it or that squared away or that whatever. They'll be found out sooner or later,
Yep.
So whatever, that is what it is. I can't. It's hard to look back. Like if I go to an event or two and I see some guys and I don't really see them in uniform, but it's none of my business anymore.
Hmm.
Like they don't want to hear from a retired guy about what's going on here, what's going on there. I had a couple guys talk to me like, "Oh, this guy's doing this guy's doing that." I go, I don't give a fuck, bro. Nothing I can do, man. Nobody wants to hear from me about what goes on in the firehouse, and rightfully so. I'm retired. I have no business. I just want to show up and say hi and see the guys, and that's that, man. That's that. So, you got any memorable fires that you've been to in 30?
Uh,
I feel like you and I didn't work together a lot. I don't know. I can't remember like if you and I actually worked together. I remember we did a detail one night. You and I were on a detail. And
Mhm.
we were sitting in like this TV room, and over the bitch box or something,
Uh,
the fire came in where my
uh,
wife used to live, and you and I was like, holy shit, there's a fire like across the street from my wife's house. And he goes, ask her for a size up. I'll never forget that. That was so funny. But I don't remember really catching. I don't think we worked together too much. So I don't remember
yeah,
a lot of.
were, were you like group 20?
I started out. I want to say I started out in 9, and then I
Mhm.
think I went to 22. So I think those are my two groups.
Yeah,
Uh,
I wound up being like the only one that ever always stayed in 14. I
okay.
could go out for a year with my shoulder, come back, group 14. Like I never had like a group change or anything like that. And also, I was a terrible chauffeur, so nobody wanted to put me, like in anybody's as a regular chauffeur. So,
Did you ever hit
so
anything?
I totally agree. I still say my wife is the better driver down here too. So,
Oh wait, you got a Jeep, right? You got a Jeep. Let's
yep,
do a Jeep wave. Got to do a
yep.
Jeep wave. There you go.
And when I drive it, she's like, "You're not doing a wave. We're gonna get flagged."
God. I found out since I got the Jeep, we do the Jeep wave, and sometimes I forget, but I'm so conscious of it now when they're coming the other way, and the people that don't do it, I'm like, you fucking jerk off, you didn't wave to me. And most of the Jeeps that don't wave are white Jeeps. Can
Yep,
you believe
that
it?
is, yeah. That must be a sign down here too. Same thing.
The white Jeeps, man. It's always the white Jeeps.
Yeah,
So, Did you catch any work? You caught work at 30?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, uh, I think one of the funniest ones was when I first got there, and everybody knew that was a volley and stuff like that. I show up to work, probably like my second or third tour, and on my front piece is a perfectly cut out like paper like volley like front piece instead of the 30 front piece, and it has like captain Maypac volunteer fire department uniform. And I was working in the engine that day, and we catch a job on 125th Street, and I had at that time we still had the door that
Hmm.
door. I never took that. They don't take anything off your helmet, don't take anything off your locker, nothing like that. In with the line, the door moving in, and all of a sudden I see like the chief from the 12th Battalion like looking through the haze, like looking to see what the front piece
His
says.
face is that close to you. Huh?
He just started like you can see like he started immediately like laughing like crazy.
Oh, the men, the men.
Yeah,
That's funny. That's funny.
yeah.
What was that job? Was it like a taxpayer or something?
Yeah, it was a taxpayer. It was just a small, wasn't anything any crazy. It was during the daytime too. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
I mean, I feel like stuff kind of like you know all melds into one. But we had the one where Bo almost went out the window to do a roof rope rescue, and we finally
Oh,
got the person
that's right. He was all hooked up, ready to go.
ready to
Right?
go. Yeah, yeah, he was ready to rock. And we're like trying to think like how like this guy's back there. Where the heck is he? Is he in the next apartment over?
Yeah.
And remember, like going back out to the hall to really look quick, and I'm like, it can't be this door. He's literally got to be here.
Yeah.
What happened is the guy had we actually when we were going in, we knew she was dead, but
Mm.
his brother had like stabbed the mother, and she was out in the hallway, and you could tell
Jeez.
she was obviously. He wound up taking a couch or the entertainment center and flipping it up over the hallway that led directly back to him. So
Wow.
you're doing a search and it's black as hell in there. You can't see anything. And you're just thinking that it's like a high stand, like a TV stand or something like that.
Yeah.
Not thinking that it's blocking the doorway. Eventually, find it, push it aside. Timmy Harris and the squid go in the back,
The squid.
sheltered the guy in a place. But I remember running up and the guy, he's breaking the windows with his hands. You can see he's all bloody. He's like, he's trying to
Oh,
kill me. He's trying to kill me.
man.
And I wish I still had the article, but they want to find the guy like later on, like 125th Street subway, all covered in blood.
Yeah.
The guy that did that. Yeah, I mean, there's some like they all come back to you eventually. I remember like working. I was detailed to 80 and 23, and that night, like every house in the battalion had a first due job. I'm
Oh
like,
wow.
this was like the first year I was there. I'm like, this, I made the best choice in the world.
We're going to work, man.
3 fires in a night. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
I remember there were nights like that for sure. 80 always caught good work, man. Like good first do work because their buildings are so big. 80
yeah.
engine always caught really good first do work.
They had some alone time sometimes too. I remember uh, that night they were second due to 69, and at that time the doorman was gone,
Yeah.
and the backup, or no, not the backup, the control man tapped out after that one. So um, they sent somebody else over,
Hmm.
and I did the right thing and said, "Oh, I came from an engine." So then they gave me control.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
a job right after that, and like maybe an hour later, first due job, ripping out two windows in the front. It's down by Riverside,
Hmm.
and it was just that I think 59 might have been second due. So to think about 59, like
Coming down the park.
do, and it was the hydrant was literally a block away,
Oh man.
and start yanking off some hose, and then the chauffeur takes off, and then by the time 59 came up, I'm still feeding out in the front of the street. It's a high stoop, still feeding stuff in. They're like, where? And they see me. They're like, where? They're thinking like, where's the backup, or like that, or where's and I'm like, yeah, I'm it. Like,
Oh,
and just as they rolled up, they called for water, and they were actually right there, and it was like, but
nice. Nice. You miss going to fires or what?
yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
not to sound buffy, but that's what that's what we were there for.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't miss the politics, of what's going on these days, and that's actually, I never thought I would have been like a 20 and out guy.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know most people didn't think that either. They thought that I was like some sort of brainiac or whatever. And then I was going to be like, at least a staff chief or something like that someday. And I'm like, nah, no, I would probably never would have gone higher than captain anyway, because I didn't want to be out of
Yeah.
the mix.
I definitely didn't expect when I heard that you retired. I was like, I was like, really? I thought you would do. I thought you were going, going up. So I was a little. But you know what? You know what happens after COVID? Like
Yep.
once COVID happened, I was like, I started losing my steam, and then I didn't want to do it anymore. I love the job. I love fire. I love going to fires. I didn't like all the injuries afterwards, but I love the guys, but politics as well. I just was like, you know what? I'm done, and I don't want to leave. I don't want to be bitter and do 5 more years angry or not wanting to be here just to collect a paycheck and not really be into it. So I was like, I'm done. I'm done. So
Yeah. COVID was definitely something that made you feel like you were just a name and a number,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
like you were enlisted. Firehouse was different. Firehouse would always treat you, like, we're all family,
yeah.
we're all in it together. But the job itself,
The
even something as simple as like looking down on, like, bucketing, a bucket of water was like, to me, that guy has no clue how much he damaged this department, because speaking from an officer standpoint, no, I don't know how many times I would have to tell a guy, look up.
hmm
Like, you're walking into a 6-story building,
yeah,
and you're not looking up. And
hmm
before that, you could say that it was humiliating or whatever like that. And if you thought that, then you had a chip on your shoulder. I can't tell you how many, like, you just forget, like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you get that nasty bucket of water on you, and
bro. I mean, we were getting bucketed so much. Guys were bucketing like you'd walk home, you'd be home looking up, and
yeah,
that getting
absolutely.
bucketed was not only yes, it was fun and ball breaking and having a good time, but it really was a lesson. You're teaching guys
It
at
was
school to look
absolutely.
up at the building all the time. So
Hmm. And I
taking
don't
that
care.
away is
I don't care what you could say about that. Like, that's was 100% one of the most valuable tools that you could use to teach anybody.
it's crazy. It's to somebody who's not a fireman, they're probably like, well, you pour water on him. Like what? It teaches him, like you said, to look up at the building, to size up the building, every single time, no matter where you're going. After a while, you just start looking up at every building, and to
Yep.
take that away was ridiculous. I'm sure guys are still doing it somewhere. They got
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Guys, that's one thing about firemen is you'll take something away for a little while, and then it kind of slowly creeps its way back into to the job. You know. So when did you get promoted to lieutenant?
24, 2014? No, 2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get a spot right away, or did you bounce for a little while?
So this was actually kind of like the turning of for me as far as like slowly seeing that like you're just a name and a number. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously COVID did that, but I wound up getting promoted 2017, over promoted because it was the end of the list and they had, a lot of extra guys. So they needed somebody to go and do um, details to like fire prevention. So I
Okay.
got for an upstate guy, one of the worst like fire prevention details you can get. It was at Brooklyn, either 3 days or a fourth day on overtime a week, and you were doing nighttime knocks on doors to get Department of Buildings in to possibly vacate people.
Oh.
So you're in obviously the worst of the worst areas, knocking on the door at, you know, and some of these places, like I tell you,
By
like
yourself?
so it would be me and my partner was from the sixth division.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the seventh, and it was then two Department of Building guys, and then that was it.
So like 4E is knocking on a door.
Yep. No radio, like so, not like not that you would be able to contact a dispatcher with our radio anyway, but nobody had a radio or anything like that. You're just knocking on the door, and you're walking in, you're looking to see egress or someone rats somebody out, you know. So do that for 6 months, going back and forth to Brooklyn.
Yeah. That sucks. That's from upstate. That sucks, dude.
Yeah, it was no fun. It was easily, I would say, thankfully it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so you would have like the every other day to recuperate
Yeah.
because it was like 20-hour days.
Yeah.
So driving, if you were doing that 3 days in a row, so that's why that fourth day was kind of like blood money.
Yeah.
So after that, get out and picking up an overtime tour in the division, and I hear about the spot in 90 potentially opening up.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Cooper, who did some time in 5930, was covering as the captain there at that time, but I was working in 38 truck and
Who was you broke up a little bit for? Who was there?
Joe Huber,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and he was covering there, and the captain of 38 knew that connection
Mm-hmm.
5930. Yeah, the guys, they're going to put a guy over there, but he's not even looking for the spot there. So I'm like, yeah, I knew 90 from being in the Bronx before. I'm like, oh, it's a great place. I would absolutely love it. And it was only a long term spot. It wasn't even to like potentially, but it wound up leading me to get to the spot
Yeah.
So I uh, go to the division. At that time, it's Christmas time. You go in there with the slush gifts, the
Mm-hmm.
cigars and all that good stuff. Like they tell you, knock with your elbows.
Yeah.
And I'm not begging for anything, but I hear them talking on the phone, and I come to find out, like after I leave, they were talking about me. Just nobody knew I was going there at that time, and I hear, "Yeah, we really can't put him there because it's going to sound like we're doing him a favor." And like I'm not thinking, I'm like, "Oh, this guy's getting screwed." Whoever they're talking about. I'm out of there no more than like 20 minutes later, and I'm getting a call from Uber, like, yeah, this guy doesn't even want the spot. I'm like, everything that I heard over the phone, I'm like,
Yeah.
holy, we're talking. I just did 6 months going back and forth to Brooklyn, and you're telling me that you're not even going to let me cover in a spot for like a long term medical leave spot where the guy's fighting to come back and did
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
So he's like, um, he goes, if you want, the battalion commander's working. Talk to him, call him up. And I'm like, you don't call battalion commander. I got right in my car. So that was the next day actually. So I
Yeah.
got right in my car, went and grabbed the cake I have in the front seat, and he calls me up and he goes, Yeah, sorry, I gave you bad info. He was only awaiting a relief. He's not there. I'm like, oh man. I was like literally just about to get on the highway with a cake and go see him. He goes, you were going to go see him? He goes,
Yeah,
yeah. He calls up the battalion commander on his cell phone, and the battalion commander called, and this happened all within 20 minutes. He goes and calls up the division, says, I want this guy in the spot.
because you were
And
going to see him.
because I was going to see him.
Wow. See.
And all the things you learn from being in a good house paid off.
Maybe he probably dealt with guys that didn't step up like that or go the extra mile. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, you know what? This guy was going to come to see me the day after this info came out or whatever. I want him. That's it. That's
Yeah. This guy
great.
wants to be there. He's motivated to do something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the rest was history. Wound up leading into going from spot to spot and then finally getting the spot there.
Nice. Nice. And that was a good place, could work and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, it was a great place, great guys. It reminded me just like the zoo,
Yeah.
except they weren't as mean. I don't mean mean in a bad way. I definitely mean like the house.
Every house on the job's got its mean guys, got its senior guys that break the balls, that keep the peace or whatever. But the zoo definitely was a special place. You know, and there's probably a lot of places that'll go, wow, we're tougher than the zoo or we're meaner than the zoo. But I don't know.
Yeah,
When I first got to the zoo, when I first got transferred, a guy in my old place was like, and I was only in my old place for a year. He goes, you know where you're going, right? I go, yeah, I'm going to the Harlem Zoo, 59 and 30. What? It's a firehouse. He's like, no. Do you know the reputation of that house? I go, what? What's like? I was so naive to the fire department and how things work. I was like, it's a firehouse. There, it's all the same. It's just like this place. He goes, oh no. He goes, you have no idea what you're fucking getting yourself into. I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. And I got there and I was like, oh shit, man.